Affairs don't begin in the bedroom. They begin in childhood. In the part of you that decided she needed to bury her truth just to be loved. The part that's now screaming to be seen. I'm Alex Croxford, and this is the Deeper Love podcast, where we name the shame, face the guilt, and help you find your way back to yourself. So let's begin. Once a cheat, always a cheat is probably one of the most confronting sentences that we can hear as somebody who has been unfaithful, because honestly, that is one of the things that is going around and round in our minds is, am I going to do this again? How can I stop myself from doing this again? Am I broken? I've had clients say to me, I can't trust that I'm not going to do this again. And this is just a reality that we have to actually look at. You know, we brush this aside. It's just a statement that we make, but let's dig deep. Like, is there any truth in it? Is there something that we need to uncover or break free from, or is it a myth? And the truth is that I think both of those things can be true. I think in some cases, one person cheats once and they never cheat again. In other cases, people find themselves doing it multiple times. And I'll be real with you, when I first started working with my coach, I was very upset to have to face the fact that I had cheated on all of my partners. And that was mortifying to me because as I have said many times before, I considered myself to be a good girl. I mean, I was a good girl that liked to party, don't get me wrong, but I was the one with morals. I had standards. I judged people that cheated. I was intelligent. I was educated. I had a good job. And I was the one that was doing this heinously painful thing to men that didn't deserve it. And having to face that about myself was very, very hard. And then even within my marriage, although I didn't cheat physically more than once, I came close. And having to share that with my ex-husband as we were in the repair phase was also so mortifying. And I didn't understand how or why I was this person that couldn't seem to be faithful. What is fundamentally wrong with me if I'm not able to do that in a relationship? And as I started to unpack and I started to do this work, not only just therapy, but I was doing deep body-mind maturation work, which is ultimately an evolution of self. Like, who am I being in the world? Am I being the most truthful, authentic version of me? Or am I in some way performing? Am I some way masking or presenting in order to be an acceptable, presentable, lovable version of myself? And what became very clear as I began to go further and further into this was that, yes, I was performing. I was masking. And, you know, we all do it. Every single human is wearing a mask. It doesn't matter whether or not someone tells you they're not. They don't know they're wearing the mask because it's who we think we are. So how would we know that we're wearing a mask? And the thing that more and more as I went on became very clear was that the reason that I had cheated time and time again is because for that entire time, up until my whole world came crashing down and my marriage looked like it was on the rocks, I had been performing who I thought I needed to be in order to be loved. And that looked like somebody that was perfect, that looked perfect, that was easy breezy, that didn't ask for anything, didn't have any needs, was just the chilled out wife, didn't put any pressure, would carry a lot without saying anything, didn't have any emotions or big emotions. I thought that was what being a good partner looked like. And the thing with that is that it creates an experience of suffocation or deadness inside of a person. And even if we're not aware of it, like I did not have any idea that this is what I was going through or what I was doing. None. So, anybody who's listening to this, you might recognize yourself in some of what I'm saying, but also it's impossible to see who we're being until somebody else can mirror that back to us. It's like we are born, and when we are born, we are given these blue glasses, and we see the world and we see ourselves and we see other people through the blue glasses. And the blue glasses come from the conditioning of our society and of our family. They come from the religion that we're born in, the sexuality that we're born into, the gender that we're born into, any wounds that we have inherited from our family members, any wounds that we experience ourselves, our socioeconomic background, etc. And we don't even realize that we're wearing the blue glasses until someone helps us take them off. And then we start to see ourselves and our lives and our relationships in an entirely different way. And this is what was happening to me. And I started to uncover, oh my goodness, I have an impenetrable field of perfection that surrounds me, and no one can get to me. No one can get in, and I can't get out. In fact, I couldn't even get in. I didn't know who I was. I was so disconnected from myself. So how can I be connected to other people if I'm disconnected from myself? It's just a mirror. So that loneliness that I was experiencing that I couldn't quite put my finger on, even though I was surrounded by friends and family and I had a partner, had nothing to do with what was happening outside of me. It's because I felt lonely because I didn't know myself. And so if I don't know myself and I am disconnected in all my relationships and I am pretending or I am performing a version of myself that I think is acceptable and is lovable, then that version of me that is suppressed and not being true is going to feel dead inside and is probably going to try and find something that finally makes her feel alive. And so the hardest part of the question, once a cheat, always a cheat, is that, yes, there is a chance that this will happen again. Because just dealing with the shame and the guilt from the primary relationship in which you have cheated will deal with just the shame and the guilt and the relationship repair and the relationship that you are in. However, there is always a pattern running underneath. And some of you may be aware of it, some of you may not. But the pattern that is running underneath is what we have to address. That is the piece that we have to heal. And the thing that a lot of people get stuck on, and I see this so many times, so many people come to me having had therapy for years, and I am not knocking therapy. I think therapy is an excellent tool, but it wasn't the thing that helped me transform who I was being in the world. It didn't help me connect to the aliveness or to my authentic self or who I was becoming in the world. I could understand, oh, okay, this pattern of not trusting men has come from this moment in time in my childhood, or the pattern of self-abandonment that I have been carrying through in every single relationship has come because I watched X, Y, and Z in my childhood do it too. But the thing is that understanding a pattern and seeing a trauma or a wound is not the same as healing it. And this is the mistake where we get stuck. This is why it feels like you might have been having therapy for years, but you are still stuck. And that's because therapy, traditional psychotherapy, deals with the mind, with the brain, with your thoughts. And when we have processed things in the mind, that's one thing, but that gives us understanding to a degree. But where we need to move into is the body. Where are we carrying wounds or trauma or unprocessed emotions from the past that are leading us to move through life in performance, in being the one that is perfect or that doesn't need anyone or that has serves everybody else and puts themselves last in the pile. Because just because you can see that as a pattern will not heal it. Because what's actually running the show in these moments is a young, wounded part of you, or a part of you that learned that it had to protect you in order to be loved, in order to keep you safe from feeling heartbreak or pain or devastation or from being alone. And what I see over and over with my clients, on not just myself, is many times women who end up in this situation have been ones that have been in control, the high achievers, the ones that would rather do everything themselves than ask for help, that don't feel supported in life, that don't want to ask for anything or have any needs because they're afraid of being too much. These are patterns that I see over and over and over again. But these patterns aren't who you are. They are a way that you have learned to be in the world. And when I work with clients and they start to meet the young parts of them that have been running the show in their adult relationships, they are flabbergasted that there is a 7-year-old part of them that decided that in order to prevent heartbreak, they had to keep them safe by being in control. Oftentimes, to try and protect them from feeling disappointed, they keep them at a distance from people that they really love. And so, of course, when you are feeling distant because there is a part of you trying to protect you from being heartbroken, you're going to feel disconnected from your partner. And when an affair partner comes in, all of these ways that you learn to protect yourself and the masks that you've been wearing, all the ways that you learn to perform, it's like they disappear, they drop away in that moment. And so it feels like, oh my gosh, this person is the person that finally sees me and finally meets me emotionally and finally is able to hold me. And look, I'm not denying that that will feel real. But the truth is that that experience in the affair is not a real relationship. And that might feel hard for some of you to hear, but it is a fantasy. Your real relationship is the one that you are married to, or that you are having children with, or that you are living with, or that you have committed to. That is the one where our protectors get involved, where they stand in the way. And it doesn't mean that you have to now just live a life in this relationship with all of these things standing in the way. This is the work that I do, is I will help you meet these protectors, meet these masks, and allow them to stop doing the jobs that they have been doing this entire time. Not because we're trying to get rid of them, but because they don't need to do the job anymore. Because actually you, right here, right now, there is a part of you that is an adult that can take over from this 5, 6, 7-year-old that is currently trying to keep you safe by keeping you in control and keeping you at a distance from your husband. And that's exactly what was happening in my relationship. There was zero emotional intimacy in my marriage. There was zero connection beneath having fun. And my God, did we have fun. I loved that man. I loved the fun that we had. We were a great team. We could do extensions on houses. We could do massive projects together, but we couldn't see each other because we weren't allowing ourselves to, because we were both so protected. And so that's why in 2022, I made a commitment for that entire year to open my heart, because I could see that my heart had been under lock and key for my entire life, even though I had lived with 3 boyfriends, well, a husband and 2 boyfriends by that point. I did not ever really let them in. And that's, sad in so many ways. But I also had to learn that lesson in the most brutal way possible. And it was an absolute cracking open. And that's what I see so many times in my work, is this pain cracks a woman open. And when we are cracked open, that is when we are really willing to start to look at the ways that we have been behaving, or that we have been being, or that we have been in relationship with our entire lives. And we are willing to start to change, because this is no longer working. Brené Brown talks about how in midlife, all of the ways that we learn to survive, all of the armor that we have worn, all the ways that we have protected ourselves, all the ways that we have kept ourselves safe, in inverted commas, have basically are now no longer serving you in the same way. And oftentimes life will knock you on the shoulder, or in this case, completely blow up your entire being, in order for you to actually start looking at what's been underneath this armor the whole time. What am I not seeing about myself? Who am I not being? What parts have I not yet met? Because the truth about once a cheat, always a cheat, is that if we don't start to meet what's going on underneath the pattern, who we are underneath the pattern, it may well happen again. And that's why so many of my clients come in having had more than one affair or cheated more than once, is because they're not reaching the pattern underneath the betrayal, because that's where the change happens. And in my life, I can tell you that once I started to connect to who I really was, that's when I started to feel alive. That's when I started to walk down the street and feel the excitement of just listening to the leaves rustle on the trees and thinking, wow, this is so exciting to be alive right now. When I started to discover true pleasure in my body, true bliss, true joy, true love, not because there was something external that was providing it to me, but because I was in a place to actually be able to start receiving it now. And so it doesn't matter how much you know your trauma. It doesn't matter how many times you talk about what's happened in the affair. It doesn't matter how many times you tell me or tell your therapist what your husband was or wasn't doing for you in your relationship. The truth lies underneath the action of betrayal. That pain is inviting you inwards. Who is it that you are here to become? What is it that you are stepping into? What is it that is meant for you in the rest of this life? Because that's how you become a woman who never cheats again. You become the woman who is able to use her voice, to be able to ask for her needs to be met, to stop abandoning herself to be loved, to be able to say when something doesn't feel good, to be able to trust the masculine to hold us, to be able to receive love. When we have done that, when we have become that version of us, we have no reason to cheat again. And in this relationship that I am in now, I feel so strongly that I won't cheat on him. And that's not because, like it was with my ex-husband, oh, I've been cheated on, so I know what it's like. I won't cheat on you. I'm traumatized from my ex cheating on me, because that didn't work. But what worked is when I started to become more me, become the version of me that can hold love, the version of me that can allow him to love me, that I can receive him. I have no need. I have no desire. I have no desire to even talk to other men now. I have no need to receive external validation from another man. I don't want another man to fancy me anymore. I used to, oh my God, did I walk down the street making sure that everybody was looking at me? Even when I was married, I wanted to go out and I wanted to make sure another person across the bar was looking at me. And it had nothing to do with my then husband, and everything to do with the fact that I was trying to find something outside of myself to make me feel alive. And so coming back to the original question, is a cheat always a cheat? And the truth is no, but only if they are willing to do the work to meet the parts of them that led them to act outside of their moral values and become the woman that life is now asking them to become. which isn't more of anything, it's becoming more of themselves. And so if you are right now in the midst of it all, if you are lost, feeling like I am at rock bottom, I can't tell anyone what's happened, and I just need to feel like I'm not so alone, then I have the Sanctuary, which you can absolutely sign up by using the link in the bio. I opened that space because it was exactly what I needed when I was going through the same thing 7 years ago. So I am sending you so much love, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to the Deeper Love podcast. If today's episode spoke to you, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if you're ready to go deeper, you'll find all the ways to work with me in the show notes. Until next time.